Hello students, welcome to online chemistry classes of Sri Guru Independent PU College of Science. Today we are in lecture number 10. In the previous class we have derived the equation, we call it as integrated rate equation. We have done it separately for zero order reaction and the first order reaction. We have also seen some graphical representation related to this zero order reaction and the first order reaction. I hope that you have practiced those derivation. Frequently in the annual examination, question comes alternatively. If in one examination question comes for derivation of integrated rate equation for zero order, the next one is first order, like that. So the thing is that we should prepare these equations very thoroughly, because the kind of frequency this question have in the examination. So we have completed this integrated rate equation. I will not write once again now, because you might have practiced with it in the last class. For zero order reaction, only final equation I will write. For zero order reaction, we started with this differential rate equation. This K rate constant, molar concentration of reactant raised to 0, because it is zero order reaction, and we got with this K equals to initial molar concentration of the reactant at T is equal to 0, molar concentration of reactant left at time T divided by the time duration for which reaction is carried out. This is integrated rate equation and this is differential rate equation. Then we have first defined first order reaction. We said those chemical reactions in which rate of reaction is directly proportional to first power of concentration of reactant is called as first order reaction. We have seen 4 examples of it. Hydrogenation. Hydration is addition of water. Hydrogenation is addition of hydrogen. We added hydrogen into it. So hydrogenation of ethene to form ethane. And the next example, we have to remember that all natural and artificial radioactive decay by unstable nuclei also follows first order kinetics. The third one is of course the decomposition of dinitrogen pentoxide gives nitrogen dioxide and oxygen, and the last one is dinitrogen monoxide gives nitrogen and oxygen. Then we started with this differential rate equation. This we call it as differential rate equation for the first order reaction, because molar concentration of reactant raised to 1, and what we get is K equals to 2.303 by T log of molar concentration of reactant, initial molar concentration of reactant, and the molar concentration of reactant after time T. So these two equations we have derived in the last class. Also we have seen its graphical representation. If we plot the graph between molar concentration of reactant, this equation particularly we used it as we say that this is a straight line equation, y equals to mx plus c. C is the intercept and m is the slope. So when we plot the graph between molar concentration of reactant on y axis and time on the x axis, the slope equals to negative of k, and intercept equal to we can say initial molar concentration of the reactant. Then we said if A is the A mole per liter is nothing but initial molar concentration of the reactant, and X mole per liter is the reactant consumed, molar concentration of reactant consumed. Then we said that the A minus X mole per liter is nothing but the molar concentration of reactant left after time T. So we just rearrange this equation, or we can substitute here also. We can say that this R0 minus R equals to this R0 is A minus X is equal to A minus A plus X. So this cancel and this become X. So we can alternatively we can write this as K is equal to X by T. For this also, if we consider initial concentration as A, the concentration of reactant left after time T is A minus X, so we can write this as K equals to 2.03 by T log of A divided by A minus X. So this is the also alternative way to express the rate constant of this reaction. So we have done all these things, and then also we have started drawing the graph. I think we have drawn the graph of first order reaction also. The graph which we have completed is in between natural log of the reactant concentration. Natural log of reactant concentration is equal to negative Kt plus natural log of initial molar concentration of the reactant. We have considered this as y is equal to mx plus c. So slope of this graph is negative k and the intercept equals to natural log of initial molar concentration. So this graph we have completed. One more graph which we have completed is in between. We have used this equation for it. The log of R0 by R equals to K divided by 2.303 T plus 0, and we said that this equation is also a kind of straight line equation. Y equals to mx plus c. The intercept, there is no intercept, the slope is positive, and no intercept means a straight line passing through the origin. Both of this graph we have plotted. Now today we will go to the third type of graph. Remember, in recent examination these questions on graphs are very important. They are giving in the question graph and they are asking the particular graph represent which order of the reaction. So you should be very comfortable in the derivation of equation and the kind of straight line equation we come across in this equation and their graphical representation. So third graph is nothing but this equation only in terms of natural log. This is, we have to convert this to the log to the base of 10. We know how to do that. If we multiply this natural log to the 2.303, we get the log to the base of 10. So we can write this equation as 2.303, this log to the base of 10 of R equals to negative of Kt plus 2.303, this log to the base of 10 of R0. Now from same equation we have obtained this equation. Only thing is we have converted this natural log to the log to the base of 10. Here we have not written it because it is not in logarithmic term. Now we can say divide this equation, divide by 2.303. So when we divide this by 2.03, this 2.03 get cancelled. We have log of molar concentration of reactant at time t. Here no 2.303 already present, so now we can divide it by 2.303 t. This 2.303 get cancelled and we have log of R0. If we look at this particular equation, this is also straight line equation. Y is equal to mx plus c, we can say. What we mean by this? By this we mean, if we plot the log of molar reactant concentration at time t on the y-axis and time on the x-axis, we will get the negative slope like this, straight line, because equation always follows straight line. So you can say slope equals to negative of k by 2.303 and the intercept of this particular graph will be equal to log of initial molar concentration of the reactant. Intercept is nothing but this point. From this to this point is nothing but log of initial molar concentration of the reactant. So this three graph we are we can plot in the first order reaction. Already one graph we have seen in the zero order reaction. So very simple this part, only just rearranging the equation or changing certain conditions of equation. We get new equation. We have to see whether we can convert that equation into straight line equation or not. If we can convert, there will be two variable y and x, and there will be two constant, slope and the intercept, and we will just convert that equation into the graphical representation. So this is all about the equations and graphical representation. Now we have to see very unique derivation now. This is also the integrated rate equation, but this is for gaseous phase reaction. We call it as gaseous phase reaction. See how that equation we can develop. So what we are learning now is the integrated rate equation for gaseous phase reaction. Gaseous phase reaction. Now what we mean by gaseous phase reaction? This square bracket and this R indicates the molar concentration of reactant. This particular term is at time t. If we replace that molar concentration with partial pressure in case of gaseous reaction, we may come across a new equation of the integrated rate constant that we have to derive. So we'll consider first order reaction, because this we are doing it for first order reaction only. The only one equation is derived in our NCERT textbook. We are learning that only. The A in gaseous state, 1 mole of A gives 1 mole of B in gaseous phase, and 1 mole of C in gaseous phase. This is the equation. Remember, if we change this equation as 2A gives B plus C, our derivation will take a different course. But here we have to take this simple equation, because that is only included in our syllabus. 1 mole of A in gaseous phase decomposes to give 1 mole of B in gaseous phase and 1 mole of C in gaseous phase. This equation we are considering. This is first order reaction, and all they are in the gaseous phase. So this molar concentration term, this square bracket, is to be replaced by the partial pressure. At T is equal to 0 means initial condition of the reaction we are looking into. When T is equal to 0, we can say this pressure is Pi. This I stands for initial, P stands for pressure, and ATM is the atmosphere, unit of partial pressure. The B and C, of course, they were not present initially, so it is 0 ATM and it is 0 ATM, because they are not present when the reaction starts. When reaction starts, T is equal to 0, only reactants are present. Products are formed in due course of time when the reactant gets converted into the product. After time T, as the reaction progresses, and from 0 to it moves to time t, now this product starts appearing, because the reactant has converted into product. We say that the partial pressure of B is X ATM. The partial pressure of C is also X ATM. Now this we have written as X ATM because this is 1 mole, and this also X ATM because this is also 1 mole. If it is 2C, would have written 2X. 3C would have written 3X. So we have to look into the stoichiometric coefficient here, just like we have done this in solving the numericals in chemical equilibrium last year. Similarly, we have to consider these equations. Now, when B and C appear, A has been disappeared. So there is decrease in the pressure. It is our observation, because until and unless the pressure of A decreases, the B and C will not increase. This is very common thing to observe. Pi, again we will write only X ATM. We should not add this as X plus X and subtract 2X. From where we written this X? From here. If it is 1 mole, X. If it is 2 mole, 2x, 3 mole, 3x, like this. Because the reactant and product disappear and appear in their own molar concentration. So we have to consider this as only x. Now this we considered as PA. I will write this as small p because it is partial pressure of A. This is partial pressure of B, and this is partial pressure of C. So we have understood the value of PA, PB and PC. What this PA, PB and PC are? PA is partial pressure of A after time t, PB is partial pressure of B after time t, and PC is partial pressure of C after time t, and their respective values we have written. Now we can consider this reaction. K is equal to 2.303 by T log of this R0 by R. This we have written it in terms of molar concentration. No need to write this equation in our derivation. Only thing that we are using this and we are substituting values from this condition we are observing here. We can write K equal to 2.303 by T log of this R0 is nothing but initial molar concentration of reactant. Here the initial partial pressure of the reactant is Pi. So I write here Pi. This R is nothing but molar concentration of reactant after time t. And here the partial pressure of A after time t is Pi minus x. So this is the way in which we can rearrange this equation for gaseous reaction. Now we should know the value of x, then only we can simplify it. So what we'll do now, PT is nothing but the total pressure after time t. Total pressure is nothing but summation of PA, PB and PC. The total pressure after time t. It is contributed by A, B and C. Initially the contribution was only of A, but after time t, one reactant and two product starts appearing. This PA is nothing but Pi minus x, PB is nothing but x, PC is nothing but x. We can cancel this x and we can say PT is equal to Pi plus x. So x is equal to PT minus Pi. So we got the value of x here. So we can write now Pi minus x is equal to Pi minus x is Pt minus Pi. So it is Pi minus Pt plus Pi, and that is equal to 2 Pi minus Pt. So Pi minus x value we have calculated, and it is 2 Pi minus Pt. So we can write this equation. This equation is the final equation we are looking for. So we can write this as K equal to 2.303 by T log of, instead of Pi we can write Pi only because that value is known to us. Pi minus x, x we have calculated and we have obtained the value of x we have calculated and we have obtained the value of Pi minus x, that is 2 Pi minus Pt. So this is the equation for rate constant of first order reaction which is in the gaseous phase. But which reaction? 1 mole of A gives 1 mole of B and 1 mole of C. If stoichiometric coefficients are different, this whole equation will be different. This is only applicable to this particular equation. That we have to remember. We cannot apply this equation only in all the reaction. When we solve numerical questions, we will solve numerical question based on this also, so it will be more clear. We have to solve enough questions of integrated rate law because that is the most important part in the chemical kinetics. We are just deriving this equation now one by one. So we have derived it for zero order, first order, and for gaseous phase reaction which is of first order reaction. So we'll make a list of this formula when we see the next concept, namely half-life period. So you have to practice this again and again. The equation looks simple, but when we write yourself, you may find it difficult to write if you are not practiced enough. So practice of this all derivation is very much required. Understanding not that much difficult. I have explained it. You just think over it again and again and you will understand how they have been derived. Now the next part, equally important, is the half-life period of the reaction. We call it as half-life period of the reaction. Again, this also equally important part in kinetics. So we call it as half-life period. Of course, this half-life period is of reaction. So I will define it, half-life period. We can say that it is the time required to reduce concentration of reactant to half of its initial concentration. This is the definition. It is the time required. It is the time required. Time required for what? Reduce means decrease. What we have to decrease? Concentration of reactant. Up to what point we have to decrease? Half. Half of what? Initial concentration. For example, at T is equal to 0, we call this molar concentration as R0. We are writing this in all this derivation form, we have used it. As this time passes, molar concentration of reactant go on decreasing. At one point, the molar concentration of reactant equals to initial molar concentration of reactant by 2. This is bound to happen. For example, this is 1 mole per liter. It can be 0.5 mole per liter at one phase, at one time in the life of that reaction. I am giving this example, not always 1 mole per liter. It can be anything. If it is R0, it becomes R0 by 2. Now the time corresponding to this, time also go ahead in this process, and this time is nothing but half-life period. So half-life period, we call it as T half. We write this as T half, or we write this as T.5, or we write this as T 50%. These are the way in which it is expressed. So it is the time required, it is the time required to reduce the concentration of the reactant half of its initial value. That is called as the half-life period of the reaction. Second half-life period, if that becomes, if this is the initial, it is not always required that initial concentration should be this much. If we consider this initial concentration, half of that, and we get new time now. If we continue this reaction, it is T of 1/4, like that. So from initial concentration we should make it half, and the time duration which is required for this decrease in concentration is called as the half-life period of the reaction. So the definition is very simple. Time required to reduce the concentration of the reactant, half of its initial concentration, is called as the half-life period. Now we have to derive this equation for zero order reaction. So I will write here for zero order reaction, because this is also a 2-mark question frequently asked. Derive the equation for half-life period of the zero order reaction. Very simple derivation, only 3-4 steps are there. We have to start with this equation, K equals to, for zero order reaction, R0 minus R by T. This equation we have derived. This is the last step of the derivation of integrated rate equation for zero order reaction. We will give this equation as equation number 1. At T equals to T half, half-life period, the molar concentration of the reactant equals to initial molar concentration divided by 2. Substitute this substitute this in equation 1. We have to substitute this condition because this is the definition of half-life period. Time required for to reduce the initial concentration of the reactant to half of its value. So K, this R0 we can write it as R0 only, and this R we can write now R0 by 2, and this T we can write now T half. So this is the condition we have substituted. Then we can say K equals to R0 minus R0 by 2 is nothing but R0 by 2 divided by half-life period. So we can say K equals to this R0 initial molar concentration of the reactant 2 multiplied by half-life period, and this half-life period is equal to, we can say, initial molar concentration divided by 2K. So this is the equation. Only 3-4 steps you will obtain it. It is only for 2 mark. But look at this particular equation. T half is equal to R0 divided by 2K. Now how we can read that equation? The equation is again very useful for us because rate constant term is appearing into that particular equation. We can say half-life period is directly proportional to R0. Means what? We can write this as half-life period of zero order reaction is directly proportional to initial concentration of reactant. Yes, this is a term, this is a sentence. We should say half-life period of zero order reaction is directly proportional to initial concentration of reactant, and of course it is inversely proportional to the rate constant. It means if rate constant is higher, reaction is faster. If reaction is faster, half-life period is smaller. The half-life is attained at faster rate if the rate of reaction is faster, like that. So this is the way in which T half and K are related. They are inversely proportional, and T half and initial molar concentration of reactant, they are directly proportional. Now T half is equal to 1 by 2K R0, and we write this as plus nothing is there means 0, and we can write this as Y is equal to mx plus C once again. So we can plot a graph between half-life period on the y-axis, initial molar concentration of the reactant on the x-axis. The graph is positive, remember, and it should pass through the origin because intercept equals to 0. So this is the way in which this representation occurs. The slope is equal to 1 by 2K. So 2K is equal to 1 by slope. K is equal to 1 by 2 into slope. We can calculate rate constant also from this particular graph. And intercept equals to 0. There is no intercept. It is passing through the origin. Straight line passing through the origin. Now we have to just think over this sentence what we have written here. Half-life period of zero order reaction is directly proportional to initial concentration of the reactant. What we mean by it? If we start with 100% reactant, it becomes 50% in the half-life period. It becomes 25%. It becomes 12.5%. As time passes, the molar concentration of reactant go on decreasing. If from 100% to 50%, it occurs in 40 minutes. From 50 to 25%, this sentence said that it is directly proportional to initial concentration. from 50% to 100% to 50% we made it half. This also we have to make it half and it becomes 20 minutes. You are understanding this? The initial concentration has been reduced to half. Half-life also becomes reduced to half. This is for zero order reaction. For first order reaction, we will come across different type of relation. But for zero order reaction, half-life period is directly proportional to the initial concentration. So when it was 50% to 25%, it is 20 minutes. Now from 25% to 12.5%, it is 10 minutes. Because the initial concentration has been reduced to the half, and that's why the half-life period is also we are making it from 40 minutes to 20 minutes, from 20 minutes to 10 minutes. If we again go for 6.25%, 10 minutes divided by 2 will be 5 minutes. Likewise, we can extend it, of course. But point is here is that the half-life period depends on the initial molar concentration of the reactant. Now, this is one important part, and this graphical part we have seen. Now, what is the time required for 100% completion of the half-life period? If we say T 100%, we can say 2 times of T 50%, isn't it? Because 50% is half completed, 100% is completely reactant has been disappeared and product has been formed. So it is 2 multiplied by T 50% is, we have just now derived that equation, the half-life period of the reaction is equal to R0 by 2K. This 2 we can cancel and we can say R0 by K, like this. So this is the time required for 100% completion. It is R0 by K. Already T 50% we have derived. So this is the half-life period of the zero order reaction. Only 3 things: the derivation of equation, very simple in 4 steps. Half-life period and initial concentration relation directly proportional. This graphical representation, the meaning of it when we say it is directly proportional, and time period for the 100% completion. These are the only things which are important here. Now we can go for the half-life period of the first order reaction. Half-life period of the first order reaction. Again, only 3-4 steps are needed here. We have to start with this 2.03 by T log of R0 by R, and we can say that at T is equal to T half, the molar concentration of reactant equals to initial molar concentration divided by 2. We can write this as K equals to 2.03. This T is replaced by T half log of this initial molar concentration, and this is nothing but initial molar concentration by 2. Of course, this we can cancel here, and we can write K equals to 2.03 by T half, and this is log 2. K equals to 2.03 by T half, and log 2 is 0.3010. I think you know how to see the log in log table in electrochemistry, you might have learned that. in last year physics also you might have used that. From next class onwards we have to solve the numericals, and in those numericals the log table is required. So I request you that you should be ready with log table and simple calculator so that you can save time. So log 2 is 0.3010 is I think already known to you. So k equals to, if you multiply these two numbers, it will be 0.693 by t half, and that's why t half is equal to 0.693 by k. This is the equation which we get after the substituting the values. T is equal to t half and r equals to r0 by k. Now what is the meaning of that? The meaning is half life period of first order reaction is independent of initial concentration of reactant, because there is no initial concentration in the final form. We can write like this: T half is directly proportional to R0 raised to 0, means 1. We can consider it, if it is somewhere present here, as 1, directly proportional to the 0 power of R0. It means it is independent. Now can we plot a graph between half-life period and initial concentration? So if we plot like this, straight line parallel to the x-axis, it means T half is constant. T half does not depends on the initial concentration of the reactor. So once again these 3-4 simple conditions and we came across this relation. Now what we mean by independent, you try to understand carefully, because many students get confused in understanding the meaning of it, but you should listen carefully and you will understand. There is no difficulty into it. We will take same example, 100%, it becomes 50%, it becomes 25%, it becomes 12.5%. If it is 40 minutes, from 100 to 50%, from 50% to 25%, again it is 40 minutes, because it is independent of the initial concentration from which it is getting reduced from 50%, independent. From 25% to 12.5%, 40 minutes. So this is the distinction between zero order reaction and first order reaction. In zero order reaction it was 40 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. But for first order reaction, 40 minutes, 40 minutes, 40 minutes and 40 minutes, like that. So this is one of the important difference between the zero order reaction and the first order reaction. Now last thing, if we try to understand what is the T100% of first order reaction, we have to look into this equation, 2.03 T log of R0 by R, T equals to 2.03 K log of R0 by R, and when T equals to T100%, R0 is equal to initial concentration when they are 100 moles per liter. The R is concentration of reactant left after time T. When that reaction is 100% completed, the molar concentration of reactant left is 0. So you can write this T100% is equal to 2.03 by K log of this R0 is 100 from which we have started, and now we are only 0. And we know the meaning of any number, if it is divided by 0, we call it as infinity. It is not defined in the real sense. So we can say that T 100% of first order reaction is infinity. It takes infinite time to completely convert the first order reaction from reactant to the product. 100% disappearance of reactant takes infinite time because the kind of relation we have obtained in the integrated rate equation. So in today's class we have just revised about the integrated rate equation for the first order reaction, integrated rate equation for zero order reaction, their graphical representation, half-life period of zero order reaction, first order reaction, and their unique relationship between the initial molar concentration of the reactant. And also we have plotted some graph. In the next class we'll start directly the numerical question based on this. Again, it is equally important from theory point of view as well as from point of view of MCQs, because such questions appears in the MCQs. So thank you for watching this video.